I wanted a self-contained bug-out vehicle for situations demanding evacuation, such as wildfires or earthquakes, etc. My truck has plenty of room for everything I should require, plus all the things that need evacuating. I do need to add a tent, though, to be fully self-contained, and I get bonus points if that tent is up off the ground. A rooftop tent looks ideal, but they're so expensive for the few times it would be used. Also, it can't easily be installed by a single person. Once installed, it's hanging out in the wind and weather, making the truck outline much larger and reducing gas mileage. I really don't want it installed permanently, since I need a truck to be a truck, but if it's going to be an effective bug-out device, it would have to be on much of the time. I next considered a truck tent. At 1/10 the price, a truck bed tent is far more ideal for my application. But the normal tent installation requires the entire bed, so the stuff loaded there would have to be emptied out every time. And the metal corrugation is extremely uncomfortable to sit on, or especially to lie down on. I've watched numerous YouTube videos of guys building drawers into their truck beds. My Silverado has intriguing depressions in the metal bed that look like they were designed for 2x6 lumber. If I laid some dimensional lumber across those grooves and dropped plywood on top, I'd have a nice flat deck to build the tent. Better yet, this raised deck doesn't suffer area loss due to the wheel wells. It's big enough for a queen-size air mattress. Slapping the lumber in place could be done in a couple of minutes by one guy, even me. Before cutting any wood, I decided to add a storage compartment for one of those small, quiet AC generators and a pull-out drawer or two. A quick guesstimate showed that 3 sheets of plywood and half dozen or so 8-foot 2x4s would get the job done. But my inventory only held 2 sheets of plywood. Since we're under the Wuhan Flu house arrest, what can we build with what I have on hand? It turns out that 2 sheets and 6 2x4s do everything required. They make a full flat deck from cab to nearly the end of the extended tailgate, a large drawer, and enough framing to make it strong enough for the application. In fact, it turned out so nice that I'll leave the main bed deck in place all the time as a pseudo tonneau cover. Here's what I did. For parts, we need 2 sheets of 15/32, also known as half-inch plywood. I used CDX because it's a whole lot cheaper. ACX gives you a nicer finish, though. And 6 standard 2x4s, plus some fasteners, and I used some glue. The deck consists of 5 pieces of plywood, 4 for the truck bed and 1 for the tailgate. Parts 1 and 2 are side by side on the driver's side to the center of the bed. On the passenger side, we have parts 3A and 3B, with 3B being the hatch over the generator compartment. And the last piece is the tailgate deck. The tailgate deck is made of 2 pieces glued together. Dowels lock the supports into place for rigidity. The front and rear spars are the same length, 67 inches. The middle spar's length is critical. It must be 66 inches, at least in my Silverado. It's not painted because I think I can design it better. When the tailgate is fully extended, it's still not flat. It rises slightly. And the plastic bins that I have in the drawer hit the center spar if it's full-size 2x4. So I had to notch a bit out of it. When I did that, I made it a bit weaker, and I had to then reinforce it. The bumper support fits at the end of the truck bed at the tailgate. The tailgate support holds the tailgate deck on top of the lowered tailgate. The drawer is wider than 24 inches to accommodate 24-inch items, which are very common. The long side wall is in the center, and the shorter one's on the driver's side to ease access to the area behind the wheel well. Don't forget that hillbilly handle I have with that small rope. Does the job. Hitch step. It's a long way from the ground to the top of the deck where the bottom of the tent will be. I need help getting up there, so I built a step that fits into the hitch. The boom is tapered to 2 inches to fit into the hitch receiver, and then the hole for the pin is the standard 5/8 inch diameter. The brace is needed for strength. Using 2x4s, there's quite a bit of side-to-side wiggle, and it's bad unless I have it pinned and also shimmed. The deck is 14 inches above the bed of the truck. The risers raise the tent that same 14 inches. If you don't do this, the tent will sag, and this tent sidewalls will touch the deck, and when it rains, rain will seep through the sidewalls, and you'll have a puddle in your tent. The tent risers are made out of 2x4 vertical pieces with 2x2 horizontal top pieces. This system was designed for a tent that has an X-pole or cross pole for the main canopy. The ends of these poles are retained in holes on the top pieces of the riser, which extend outward from the bed wall stake holes to the front and rear ends of the bed. I was originally planning to have a 2x4 rail across both sides of the bed, but these smaller pieces work better and are much easier to store. Notches retain the cross poles. I used a 1/2-inch drill bit, started a hole, then milled downward and angled towards the tent center. This worked fine with the soft wood. The tent risers are specific to their position, so it's best to mark them. My marking convention here is LR arrow, for example, with L standing for left, R for the rear position, and then the arrow points forward towards the truck cab. Assembling the parts. The bed pockets cry out to hold something. I used the 3 sets around the center of the bed, shown here. The forward, the middle pocket, and here's one at the center rear. The spars install quickly. The center spar must be twisted into place. Here's a hobo I found with a cardboard sign saying he'd work for food. I asked him to demonstrate this for the video. He's wearing his Sunday best clothes. See, they're holy. Not so much the case for the other ones. They're not so critical. The bumper support stands next to the tailgate. I used a 2x2 to temporarily connect the rear spar to this tailgate support during design and construction, but I found it was useful when photographing this thing too. The drawer slides in. Here are cheap bins that we picked up at Costco. See how close the bin tops get to the spars? This is because the tailgate is not completely flat when it's opened, and this is the reason I needed to mill out the center spar. Now we slap in the deck. Piece 1, Piece 2, then Piece 3A. The generator fits into the area normally covered by Piece 3B, which is more logically referred to as the generator hatch. Now the tailgate deck is built. This is held in place with dowels. When disassembled, every piece fits into the drawer. At 140 pounds, it isn't easily carried as a single piece, but at least it stores easily. Let's go camping. Let's build the tent. We drive to the campsite with the deck installed. Once we're at the campsite, we drop the tailgate and add the tailgate deck. Your shins will appreciate it if you do not install the hitch step until the end of the process, unlike what I show here. Build the tent on the ground, since that's the way this particular tent is designed. Install 3 of the tent risers. Leave one off so you have an easier time lifting the tent into place. Lift the tent onto the bed. Go to the first corner. Place the cross pole into its riser. Fasten the strap loosely. Walk around the tent, installing the other 3 corners. Then walk around another time to readjust as required. It took me a long time here because I'm still figuring out the best technique. With this tent, only one of the 2 side straps seemed to do anything useful, but it's easy enough to install the second one. I was pointed to decked.com to see their product line after I built this. Those guys really thought this project through and offer a first-class commercial solution. Their frame and ammo box corner concept is excellent. However, their pricing starts at $1,200 and their drawers don't fit regular bins. Their custom-fitted bins are rather expensive and they offer less storage space. They also require tools and a lot more time to dismantle. While it weighs a little more, you'd expect that because it's made of steel instead of my minimalist lumber. Finally, there's no place to store a generator or 5-gallon fuel containers. I'm planning on adding fasteners to hold down the deck to the frame. Even though it'll take longer to tear down, it'll be more useful and I can use it for everyday driving as a tonneau cover. And when I use this as a tonneau cover to haul things, I'd add a front brace right at the cab to further strengthen that part. It's plenty strong for a tent application where when I'm sleeping I'm not up against the corner of the cab, but does sag a bit there without the brace. As for the drawer, there's a couple things I will address. One, I'd like to put drawer guides between the bottom of the drawer and the corrugations in the bed of the truck. This would keep the drawer sliding straight forward and back and not sideways. I didn't do it already because these guides may not add any height to the drawer, or else the bins will hit the spars. I need to find something that's thick enough to do the job, but will not raise the height of the drawer at all due to the fact that the tailgate isn't flat. Another minor thing is a little bumper at the handle end so that the drawer doesn't slide backwards when I hit the gas. When you look at my design here, you may wonder why I didn't make the 3 deck panels the same width. They're close, but they're not exactly the same, and that's because I made the right-hand side a little bit wider to more easily fit the generator. A plastic milk crate would make an excellent step, probably a whole lot better than the thing that I built to fit into the hitch. Note that the area in the passenger side front of the bed is hard to access. Another hatch might be useful here. Also note that a deep cycle battery would easily fit in that area, bringing high current 12 volts to the bed for camping purposes. Well, there you have it. I hope you found this interesting. Please share your comments. But don't nag about how filthy my truck is. I already know.